Layla Reed stared out of the spacecraft window as the stars streaked by in brilliant flashes of light. The massive ship Celestial Pioneer carried 200 humans toward a distant planet that scientists believed could support life. She had volunteered for this mission knowing she might never see Earth again. But the promise of discovery pulled her forward like a magnet. The ship had been traveling for 3 years now, with another 2 to go before reaching their destination. Most crew members spent their time in stasis pods, but Layla, as the lead biologist, remained awake for 2 months of each year to monitor the biological specimens they carried. She pressed her hand against the cool glass of the observation deck window, feeling the subtle vibration of the engines. Today marked the beginning of her active period, and as usual she felt the weight of isolation pressing down on her. Only 5 other crew members were awake at any given time, and they all had their own duties. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts, alerting her that the ship's advanced AI system wanted her attention. Dr. Reed, the system reported unusual activity detected in Quadrant 7 of the specimen bay. Recommend immediate investigation. Unusual activity, Layla repeated. Her interest piqued. Specify. The system paused as if considering increased energy readings and cellular division rates in specimen container 4782. Beyond predicted parameters, container 4782 held soil samples from a volcanic region on Earth. Nothing that should show any significant activity in the controlled environment of the ship. Curious, Layla made her way to the specimen bay. The specimen bay was a vast chamber filled with thousands of containers holding plants, animals, microbes, and soil. Samples from Earth. Humanity was taking a fragment of their home planet with them to study and potentially use on their new world. Layla's footsteps echoed in the large space. As she approached container 47A, the clear container glowed with a faint, bluish light, something that definitely should not be happening. She checked the monitoring equipment, finding that the energy readings were indeed elevated. The soil sample appeared to be moving slightly, pulsing with an inner light. "This is impossible," she whispered, reaching for the analysis tools. As she scanned the container, a voice behind her made her jump. "Found something interesting." Dr. Reed. Layla turned to see Commander Morgan Cole standing in the doorway. His tall frame leaned casually against the entrance, but his eyes were sharp with interest. "Morgan," she acknowledged with a nod. The two had trained together before the mission and had developed a friendship, though they rarely saw each other during active periods as he supervised engineering, rather than biology, I think. "So yes, this soil sample is showing signs of activity that shouldn't be possible." He moved closer, peering at the glowing container. "No contamination breach?" "No," Layla confirmed. "All seals intact, temperature, pressure, and containment. All normal except the energy readings are off the charts and there's movement in the soil." They watched in fascination as the soil began to shift more actively, forming small mounds that collapsed and reformed. "Should we isolate it?" Morgan asked, his voice tight with concern. "Probably," Layla admitted, though her scientific curiosity fought against the precaution. "But this could be an amazing discovery. We should document it first." She began scanning the sample with various instruments recording the unusual readings. The glow intensified, spreading throughout the container. The soil moved more deliberately now, forming patterns rather than random movements. "What in the world?" Morgan muttered, watching the display. Suddenly, the ship's AI interrupted. "Priority alert. Unidentified vessel approaching on intercept course. All awake personnel report to command center immediately." They exchanged alarmed glances. Unidentified vessel. They were light years from any human outpost. The command center was already occupied by the other awake crew members when they arrived. Chief Engineer Amanda Wright was rapidly working at her console, while Security Officer Diane Porter stood tensely reviewing weapon systems. Medical Officer Eric Brown and Navigator Ryan Wilson huddled over the sensor displays. "Report," Morgan demanded, sliding into the command chair. Amanda looked up. Her face pale. "Vessel appeared suddenly at our stern. No warning, no warp signature, nothing. It's just there, and it's huge, nearly twice our size. Show me," Morgan ordered. The main screen flickered, revealing a massive ship unlike anything humans had designed. It appeared to be constructed of a dark material that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, with strange angular protrusions and no visible windows or ports. It followed their ship, matching their speed exactly. "Attempt communication," Morgan ordered. Ryan nodded, working his console. "Channel open, sir," he confirmed. "This is Commander Morgan Cole of the Earth vessel, Celestial Pioneer. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration and colonization. Please identify yourself." They waited, but no response came. Suddenly, Layla gasped, pointing at a secondary screen. "Look, the specimen." The container holding the strange soil was now pulsing. With intense light, the soil forming complex geometric patterns. Sir Diane called out, "The alien vessel is scanning us, focused specifically on the specimen bay." Morgan finished his expression grim. "They know something we don't," as if responding to his words. The alien ship accelerated slightly. Moving alongside the Pioneer, a section of its hull seemed to shimmer and fade, revealing what appeared to be some kind of docking mechanism. "Defensive measures," Morgan ordered. But before anyone could respond, a beam of light shot from the alien vessel, striking their ship with pinpoint precision directly at the specimen. "Bay ship systems failing," Amanda reported as consoles flickered. "We have multiple breaches," and the lights went out, leaving only emergency illumination. The ship's engines fell silent and they began drifting in space. Auxiliary power kicked in. Moments later, restoring minimal functionality. Status report. Morgan demanded, "Life support stable." Diane reported, "Weapons offline. Shields offline. Communications limited to internal-only engines," Amanda added, "are completely offline. Something in that beam disrupted our entire power grid." Morgan turned to Layla. "What would they want with that soil sample?" "I don't know," she admitted, "but something was happening to it. Something impossible." The cellular structure was changing, reorganizing. Movement on Deck 7. Diane suddenly announced, reading from her security panel. "Near the specimen bay breach?" Morgan asked. "No." Diane looked confused. "According to sensors, all doors and hatches are sealed." But the internal communication system crackled to life and a strange voice spoke. The words were in perfect English, but had an odd musical quality to them. "Humans of Earth vessel, we have reclaimed what is ours. We mean no harm to your kind. We will restore your ship functions once we have completed retrieval." Morgan hit the communication button. "Who are you? What do you want?" A pause, then. "Return to us what belongs to us. The consciousness you carry. Unknowingly. Consciousness," Layla repeated, stunned. "The soil sample." The ship shuddered as the alien vessel moved closer. "The specimen bay doors have been opened." Diane reported, "Internal sensors detect movement inside, but am not seeing any life forms." "I'll go," Morgan decided, standing up. "Dr. Reed with me. The rest of you stay here and work on restoring systems." Morgan and Layla made their way through the darkened corridors of the ship, guided by emergency lighting. When they reached the specimen bay, they found the doors standing, open despite the security lockdown. Inside, the vast chamber appeared mostly undisturbed except for a single empty spot where container 4782 had been. "It's gone," Layla whispered. More concerning was the figure standing beside the empty storage unit, a tall, slender being with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors in the dim light. Its head was elongated with no visible eyes, nose, or mouth, but somehow Layla knew it was watching them. Morgan reached for his sidearm, but the alien raised a limb. In what seemed like a peaceful gesture, "We take only what is ours." The musical voice came again, though the being had no visible mouth. "The consciousness of our explorer lost on your world millennia ago, trapped in the minerals of your soil. Finally, awakened by your journey through space. You were in the soil sample." Layla realized the energy readings, the movement. The alien made a gesture that somehow conveyed agreement. "Our kind can transfer consciousness into elemental materials when necessary, for long space exploration. This one was lost, separated from its vessel during an Earth survey long before your civilization rose. We detected its awakening when your ship passed near our space, so you tracked us across light years for a soil sample." Morgan asked skeptically. Not soil. The alien corrected. A living consciousness of our kind trapped in dormancy. The vibrations of your vessel, its journey through space, gradually awakened it. After so long, we feared it was truly lost. Layla found herself, believing the strange being. The patterns in the soil, the energy readings. It all made sense if some kind of consciousness had been embedded in the mineral structure. We mean your kind no harm. The alien continued. We will repair the damage to your vessel before departing true to its word. The lights flickered back to full power. Moments later, the hum of the engines resumed and console displays lit up throughout the specimen bay. As a gesture of gratitude for carrying our lost one, we offer knowledge, the alien said, a star map to safe harbors in this region of space. Many dangers lie ahead on your journey. A beam of light projected from the alien creating a holographic display of star systems with several marked in a glowing color. The alien moved toward the exit. Where will your kind go? We seek a new home. Layla explained. Our planet could no longer sustain our population. The alien made a sound like distant. 6 months had passed since the alien encounter, and the celestial pioneer continued its journey toward the distant planet they hoped would become humanity's new home. Layla found herself unable to stop thinking about the strange being and its revelation that a consciousness could exist within seemingly inert matter. She had spent much of her waking time reviewing the sensor data from the specimen bay, searching for any clues about the alien biology. The star map the aliens had provided proved accurate, revealing cosmic phenomena the ship's sensors hadn't detected, including a dangerous radiation belt. They would have crossed had they maintained their original course. Morgan had ordered a slight deviation, which added 3 months to their journey, but ensured their safety. Layla sat in the research lab analyzing soil samples from other regions of Earth, wondering if any might contain similar anomalies when the ship's AI announced the beginning of the next crew rotation cycle. Dr. Reed, please. Report to Stasis Chamber 3. Dr. Linda Wilson is scheduled to replace you for the next rotation cycle. Layla sighed. Time had passed quickly during this awakened period. She gathered her research notes, making sure everything was properly documented. For Linda, who would continue the biological monitoring during the next active cycle. As she made her way to the stasis chambers, she passed the ship's small garden area, where plants from Earth grew under artificial light. The garden served both practical and psychological purposes, providing fresh produce and a reminder of the home they had left behind. She paused, noticing something unusual about the central flower bed. The night-blooming jasmine plants were arranged in an unusual pattern. The soil around them appeared disturbed, as if someone had been rearranging the plants. But more concerning was the faint blue glow emanating from the soil, similar to what she had observed in the alien specimen. Layla knelt beside the flower bed, scanning the soil with her portable analyzer. The readings were inconclusive but showed elevated energy levels. She took a small sample, placing it in a containment unit. She would show it to Linda during their handover briefing. The stasis chamber area was a large circular room with 200 pods arranged in concentric rings. At the center was the control station where the ship's medical officer monitored the process. Dr. Eric Brown looked up as she entered. Right on schedule, he greeted her. Linda is already prepping for awakening pod. 3 is ready for you whenever you're finished with the handover. Thanks, Eric, Layla replied. Where is Linda? Still in medical, getting her final checks. He explained. She should be here shortly. Layla nodded, placing her sample container on the nearby desk. She would have about 30 minutes with Linda before entering stasis, plenty of time to explain her concerns about the garden soil. While waiting, she reviewed the crew manifest for the upcoming active cycle. Besides Linda, the awakened crew would include Chief Engineer Carlos Rivera, Navigator Olivia Harris, Security Officer Grace Miller, and Communications Specialist Peter Chen Morgan would remain in stasis during this cycle with his second-in-command. Grace taking charge. Linda Wilson arrived 15 minutes later, her short blonde hair still damp from the post-stasis shower protocol. She smiled warmly at Layla. How was your shift? She asked, accepting the tablet with Layla's research notes. Interesting, Layla replied, explaining about the strange readings in the garden soil. I think we need to monitor this closely. It bears some resemblance to the alien specimen we encountered. Linda examined the sample container with interest. The blue glow was barely perceptible now, but still present. You'll make it a priority, she promised. But you know the protocol will need to notify security about any potential alien material on board. Of course, Layla agreed. Though I suspect it's nothing dangerous, possibly just some mineral reaction to the ship's environment. Still better safe than sorry. Their handover complete. Layla prepared for stasis, changing into the specialized bodysuit designed to protect against the effects of long-term suspension. Hang climbed into the pod, watching as Eric programmed the 4-month stasis cycle. "See you soon," he said as the pod cover began to close. Layla's last thought before the stasis drugs took effect was of the glowing soil and what it might mean. Dreams in stasis were not supposed to happen. The suspension process should have prevented any brain activity complex enough for dreaming. Yet Layla found herself walking through a strange landscape. Under a purple sky, she moved across crystalline ground that sang. With each step, twin moons hung overhead, casting multicolored shadows. She wasn't alone. Something moved alongside her, a presence she could feel rather than see. It guided her toward a massive structure that resembled a forest of crystal trees. There, branches intertwined, creating a cathedral-like space. "This is home," the presence seemed to say, though no words were spoken. "This is where we began." The dream shifted and Layla saw Earth, but not as it was. A younger planet with different continents, different atmospheres. Crystal spires rose from the ancient land structures similar to the one she had just seen. "We were there before you." The presence continued. "When your kind were still small creatures hiding from giant lizards, we watched, we studied, we left markers. Layla tried to ask, but had no voice in this dream. The dream shifted again, showing the specimen container that had been taken by the aliens. The soil inside glowed brightly, forming complex patterns that Layla somehow understood were a language, a message. "Not just one," the presence explained. "Many across your world. Dormant. Waiting. But your journey, your ship's energy, awakened one. The others still sleep in your Earth soil. Some traveled with you. The garden." Layla realized they were in the garden soil too. The presence seemed pleased by her understanding. Yes, waiting, observing, learning. Why, Layla wanted to ask, why hide? "What do you want?" To guide, the presence answered. Reading her thoughts. "To watch. To ensure you find the right path. All young species need guidance." The dream began to fade, the crystal landscape dissolving into mist. "Wait," Layla called silently. "What should we do? How do we wake the others?" The presence seemed to drift away, its final message coming as if from a great distance. "Look for the patterns. The soil remembers. The consciousness will awaken when the time is right. Watch for the blue light." Layla gasped as her stasis pod opened, her mind still filled with the vivid dream. Linda Wilson stood over her, looking concerned. "Layla, are you all right? You were showing unusual brain activity during stasis." Eric was worried. Layla sat up slowly, her mouth dry from the suspension process. "I had a dream," she said, "which shouldn't be possible in stasis." Linda helped her sit up, checking her vital signs on the pod's monitor. "Your right, stasis should suppress all higher brain functions." "What kind of dream?" Layla described the crystal landscape, the presence, and the message about the soil samples. Linda listened with increasing concern. "And you think this is connected to the garden soil?" she asked when Layla finished. "I don't know," Layla admitted. "It could just be my subconscious, processing our alien encounter. But it felt so real, so significant." She looked around, noticing the stasis chamber was empty except for them. "Where is everyone? How long was I?" Linda looked uncomfortable. 4 months as planned, but things have changed. You should come to the command center. Morgan has been awakened early. There have been developments, Layla repeated, noticing the tension in Linda's voice. Linda simply shook her head. "Wait for the briefing. I'm not authorized to explain." Let me help you to medical for your post-stasis checkup. Then you can join the others. The medical checkup was brief. Dr. Brown seemed distracted, rushing through the protocols. When it was complete, Linda escorted Layla to the command center where she was surprised to find not just the scheduled active crew, but Morgan and several other crew members who should have been in stasis. Morgan looked up as she entered, his expression grave. Layla, he acknowledged. Good to have you back. What's happening? She asked, looking around at the tense faces. Morgan gestured to the main view screen. 3 weeks ago, we detected another ship following our trajectory. It's been maintaining constant distance, not responding to communication attempts. The screen showed a vessel similar in design to the Pioneer, clearly of human origin. Layla frowned. The only other colony ship that left Earth was the Horizon, but it was heading to a completely different star system. Is that the Horizon? She asked. Why would they change course to follow us? Not the Horizon, Morgan said grimly. It's the Ascension. Layla felt her blood run cold. The Ascension was a military vessel designed for space combat. It had launched secretly 2 years after the Pioneer, supposedly on a mission to establish a military outpost in a different sector. Why would they follow us? Layla asked. Morgan brought up another image on the screen. This transmission arrived yesterday. The screen displayed a stern-faced woman in a military uniform. General Diane Carter, commander of the Ascension. Her message was brief and chilling. Celestial Pioneer, this is General Carter of the Earth Defense Force vessel Ascension. You are ordered to heave to and prepare for boarding. Our sensors have detected non-human technology and potential contamination aboard your vessel. Under the Terra Protection Act, we are authorized to quarantine and, if necessary, neutralize any threat to humanity. Submit to inspection or face the consequences. The message ended, leaving the command center in silence. They know about the alien encounter. Morgan said they must have been tracking us for months, waiting to see if we made contact again, but we're no threat. Layla protested. The aliens helped us. They left peacefully. 3 weeks had passed since the Celestial Pioneer had evaded the Ascension. The military vessel had searched the sector before eventually departing, presumably to report back to Earth Command. The Pioneer continued on its new course, following the path provided by the crystal entity. The alien technology had integrated seamlessly with the ship systems, enhancing their sensors, shields, and navigation capabilities. Layla spent most of her time in what the crew now called the Crystal Chamber, a section of the Garden Bay where the transformed alien consciousness resided. The crystal had continued to evolve, becoming more complex and interactive. A holographic interface now surrounded it, allowing direct communication with the crew. Morgan had established a rotation schedule so that small groups of colonists could awaken from stasis to learn from the crystal entity. Each returned to stasis with new knowledge and understanding that they shared through the dream network the aliens had somehow established among the sleeping humans. Today, Layla was documenting the latest crystal formations when Dr. Green entered the chamber. The physicist had become one of the primary researchers working to understand the alien technology. Any new developments? Samantha asked, joining Layla beside the crystal console. Layla nodded, pointing to a new growth extending from the main crystal structure. It's mapping stellar phenomena we can't detect with our instruments, she explained. Look, the holographic display activated, showing their planned route with several areas highlighted in pulsing red. The entity calls these gravity storms. Apparently, they can tear a ship apart, but our sensors can't detect them. Samantha studied the map with interest. The alien technology continued to prove its value. Their journey would have ended in disaster multiple times without the guidance it provided. The crystal pulsed, drawing their attention. The musical voice that had become familiar to the crew spoke. The second seed awakens, the voice announced. Layla and Samantha exchanged confused glances. Second seed. Before they could question further, the ship's emergency alert sounded. Unidentified object detected on collision course. The crew rushed to their emergency stations as Morgan called from the bridge. Layla, bring the entity online, he ordered. We need full sensor capacity. She activated the crystal interface, watching as energy flowed through the alien technology. enhancing the ship's detection systems. The holographic display expanded, showing a small object approaching rapidly. Not a ship, the entity clarified. A seed vessel, similar to this one but older. Different design on screen. The object became visible. A small crystalline structure about the size of a shuttlecraft. Its surface glowed with the same blue light as their own crystal entity. As it approached, it seemed to adjust course, matching the Pioneer's speed and trajectory. Incoming transmission. Morgan reported, "The object is attempting to communicate." The crystal console pulsed. "It's one of our kind," the voice explained. "Very old. Nearly depleted. Send these coordinates." A series of numbers appeared on the holographic display, which Layla quickly relayed to Morgan. Minutes later, the small, crystal vessel docked with the Pioneer in a specially modified airlock. The ship's engineers had constructed following the entity's specifications. When the airlock opened, no physical being emerged. Instead, a floating crystal about the size of a human head drifted into the ship. Its glow was fainter than their own crystal dimmer, pulsing irregularly, like a weakening heartbeat. The crystal entity in the garden chamber brightened as if in recognition. "This one has traveled far," the voice explained. "Nearly expired, carries important information." The new crystal drifted to the main entity in the garden, and the two connected tendrils of light extending between them. Information flowed visibly as pulses of light. The crew watched in fascination as the two alien consciousnesses communicated in their strange crystalline language. Finally, the light stabilized and their crystal entity spoke again. "This one brings warning. The hunters have found awakened seeds on your Earth world. They consume, prepare to expand." The danger grows. Layla felt cold dread settle in her stomach. Earth was in danger. The military had found alien seeds and somehow awakened the hunters, whatever they were. But why had this messenger come to them, a small colony ship, far from Earth? "You are not the only seeders," the entity explained, as if reading her thoughts. "Many colony ships left your world, each carrying dormant seeds unknown to your kind. This one has visited 3. The seeds aboard one were destroyed by fearful humans. The seeds aboard another awakened like this one. Other ships remain to be found." Layla and Samantha exchanged alarmed glances. There were other colony ships with alien seeds aboard. The implications were staggering. "The messenger brings knowledge," the entity continued. "Knowledge to awaken the full potential of the seeds. Many seeds together form network stronger protection against hunters. This vessel must find the others before hunters spread." Morgan, who had joined them in the garden chamber, frowned. "But our mission is to establish a colony. We can't abandon our purpose to search for other ships. The colony will proceed." The entity assured, "Your destination remains safe, haven for both kinds. But some must seek the others." The seeders prepared for this long ago. The holographic display changed, showing a new ship design. A sleek vessel, clearly of hybrid human and alien technology. Within this vessel, components exist to construct smaller, faster vessel. The entity explained, designed to seek other seeds while main colony establishes can be built with human and seeder technology. Layla studied the design, recognizing components from their own ship combined with crystalline technology. The entity was proposing they build a scout ship to find the other colony vessels and warn them about the hunters. The messenger has located 2 other Earth vessels. The entity continued displaying their coordinates. Both carry seeds, both in danger. The hunters will find them eventually, as they found your Earth. Morgan crossed his arms. "How do we know this isn't some manipulation? Some way to use us for your own purposes?" The crystal pulsed gently. "The question is wise," the voice acknowledged. "The seeders and humans share common enemy. Hunters consume. All consciousness, human and seeder alike. On many worlds we have helped emerging species survive. We offer same to humans, alliance beneficial to both." Samantha stepped forward. "If what you're saying is true, why hide among us as seeds? Why not approach openly? Your kind fears difference," the entity explained. "History shows violent reaction to unknown. So we wait, observe. Only when minds are ready when danger threatens do we reveal. When species reaches stars, it faces greater dangers, needs guidance. The Cedars have guided many. As they discussed the situation, the messenger crystal began to dim further. Its energy nearly depleted. The main entity extended more tendrils of light, seemingly supporting the fading consciousness. "This one cannot return," the entity said. "It gives remaining energy to your vessel." The messenger crystal pulsed once more brightly. Then its light faded completely. The crystal structure remained, but the consciousness within had transferred its energy to the main entity. The holographic display expanded dramatically, showing far more detail about the surrounding space, the hunters, and the location of other colony ships. The crew watched in solemn silence, recognizing they had just witnessed the death of an alien being, one that had sacrificed itself to bring them warning. Morgan called an emergency meeting with the senior staff and awakened colonists. The situation had changed dramatically. Their isolated colony mission had suddenly become part of something much larger, a cosmic conflict between the Cedars and the mysterious hunters, with humanity caught in the middle. After hours of debate, they reached a decision. They would continue to their destination, establish the colony as planned, but would also construct the scout vessel using the designs provided by the entity. A small crew would take the scout ship to warn the other colony vessels, while the Pioneer completed its original mission. Layla volunteered immediately to lead the scout mission. Her understanding of the crystal entity and its technology made her the obvious choice. Morgan initially resisted wanting to keep his senior biologist with the colony, but eventually he conceded, recognizing the importance of the mission. The next 3 months were spent constructing the scout vessel using components from the Pioneer secondary systems and incorporating the crystal technology. Under the entity's guidance, the engineering team created a hybrid ship unlike anything humans had built before. The crystalline systems provided propulsion capabilities far beyond their own technology, allowing the small vessel to travel at speeds the Pioneer could never achieve. As the day of departure approached, Layla found herself in the garden chamber communing with the entity. She had grown accustomed to its presence, its strange music-like voice, and the way it communicated through images and emotions as much as through words. "I still don't fully understand what you are," she admitted, watching the pulsing light within the crystal structure. "What are the Cedars, really?" The entity was silent for a moment before responding. "We are gardeners of consciousness," it explained. "Many billions of years old. Once like you. Physical beings. Now evolved beyond physical form. We spread through cosmos, preserving, nurturing consciousness wherever it emerges." "And the hunters?" Layla asked. "They consume consciousness, you said. But what does that mean?" "The opposite of life," the entity replied. "Where life creates, preserves, builds. The hunters unmake, they leave emptiness, without thought, without awareness. They are ancient as we are enemies, since beginning before your sun burned." The tension on the bridge of the Celestial Pioneer was thick enough to cut with a knife. General Carter's ultimatum had given them 24 hours to prepare for boarding from the Ascension. The crew remained divided, some believing compliance was the only option, while others, led by Layla, argued for protecting the growing crystals in the garden. Morgan had spent hours in communication with his senior staff, weighing options. They had precious few. If they refused boarding the Ascension, had the firepower to disable their engines and force entry anyway. Any resistance would likely result in casualties among the colonists, many of whom remained in stasis, unaware of the crisis unfolding. Layla stood in the garden studying the crystal formation, which had grown larger since her awakening from stasis. The blue glow pulsed with increasing regularity, almost like a heartbeat. The pattern seemed familiar somehow, reminding her of old Earth mathematics. The Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio patterns found throughout nature. Linda entered, carrying scanning equipment. "We should take another reading before we decide anything," she said, her voice tense. The crystal mass had nearly doubled in size since yesterday. As Linda activated her scanner, the crystals pulsed more rapidly, their light intensifying. Layla felt a strange sensation, like a gentle pressure against her mind. "They know we're here," she whispered. reaching out a hand toward the formation, stopping just short of touching it. Linda looked alarmed. "Don't touch it. We have no idea what it could do." The scanner beeped, completing its analysis. Linda studied the results, her eyes widening. "Energy output has increased by 300%, she reported. "And there's something else. The crystals are emitting a low-level radiation, but it's not harmful. It's actually similar to the frequencies used in our communication systems." Layla felt a chill run down her spine. "They're trying to communicate," she realized. Just like in my dream, the ship's AI suddenly activated emergency alert. Unidentified energy surge detected in Agricultural Bay 2. The lights in the garden flickered and the crystal formation flashed with brilliant blue light. Layla and Linda shielded their eyes as the intensity became blinding. When they could see again, the crystal had changed. Its structure had become more complex, with intricate branches extending outward like a miniature crystal tree. The ship's communication system activated, and a voice spoke, not the ship's AI, but something else entirely. A voice with the same musical quality as the alien they had encountered months ago. "Humans of the Pioneer, danger approaches. The sleeping ones have awakened too soon. The hunters must not find them." Layla stepped forward. "Who are you?" she called out. "What hunters?" "The crystalline consciousness you carry is vulnerable in this state." The voice replied. "Your kind calls them cedars. We left fragments of ourselves on many worlds, including yours. Waiting, watching the military vessel approaches with destruction." The voice continued. "They have found other seeds on your world. They destroy what they do not understand. Other seeds." Layla exchanged alarmed glances with Linda. "There are more of these on Earth, many," the voice confirmed. "Some awakening now as your world changes. Your people call them unexplained phenomena. The military ones have found some. They seek to control the power they do not understand." The ship's intercom activated. "Layla," Morgan called his voice. "Urgent report to the bridge immediately," leaving Linda to continue monitoring the crystal. Layla hurried to the bridge, finding it in chaos. Morgan stood before the main view screen where the image of General Carter glared out at them. "You have 6 hours to prepare for boarding, Commander," she was saying. "Any resistance will be met with appropriate force." The transmission cut off, and Morgan turned to Layla, his expression grim. "The Ascension has accelerated their approach. They know something has changed. On board, they've detected the energy spike from the garden." "What's our plan?" Layla asked. Morgan gestured to the tactical display showing both ships. "The Ascension's weapons outmatch ours by a considerable margin. We can't fight and we can't run." His face hardened. "But we might be able to hide." Layla repeated, confused. "The ship contains stealth technology intended for use only after landing on our destination planet to conceal the colony from potential threats." Morgan explained. "We could attempt to reconfigure it to shield the crystal formation from their sensors, but I'd need to know exactly what we're dealing with." Layla quickly explained what the voice had told them about the seeds and the hunters. The color drained from Morgan's face as she spoke. "My God," he whispered. "Do you realize what this means? Humanity has been sharing Earth with dormant alien consciousness for millennia. And the military knew. They found some already." A chime from the communication panel interrupted them. "Linda, calling from the garden." "Layla, Morgan," she said, her voice shaking. "You need to see this. The crystal, it's changing." They rushed back to the garden where the crystal formation had transformed dramatically. No longer a simple cluster it had grown into, a complex structure nearly 5 feet tall. Its surface rippled with patterns of light that seemed to flow like liquid. As they watched, a section of the crystal became transparent, revealing what appeared to be a star map, similar to the one the aliens had provided earlier, but more detailed, showing not just stars but what appeared to be pathways between them. "These are the paths," the voice explained, returning to the ship's communication system. "The safe routes between worlds, where the hunters cannot follow." "Hunter," Layla repeated. "Who are these hunters?" "Those who seek to consume consciousness," the voice replied. "Your military has awakened one on your world. They do not understand what they have found. The hunters are ancient enemies of all living. Thought they consume awareness itself. Leave only emptiness. Morgan stepped forward, studying the map. Is this why you left the seeds? To warn about these hunters, to prepare, the voice corrected. We seed potential in many worlds when consciousness evolves. Enough to travel between stars we guide, help protect. The hunters would consume your kind as they have consumed many. The crystal pulsed again, changing shape once more, parts of it becoming more defined, forming what looked like a control panel with symbols Layla didn't recognize. This will shield this vessel from hunters and those who seek us, the voice explained. But you must choose your kind or ours. The military vessel will not understand. They will destroy, rather than learn. Morgan looked at the crystal, then at Layla. The choice seemed impossible. If they protected the alien consciousness, they risked confrontation with the Ascension, endangering everyone aboard. If they surrendered to General Carter, they betrayed a potentially benevolent alien species and lost the opportunity to learn from them. The decision is not yours alone. Human, the voice said suddenly. The sleeping ones aboard this vessel must also choose. Sleeping ones? Layla asked, confused. Then understanding dawned. The colonists, in stasis. The 200 colonists, she realized in horror. They were all dreaming the same dream she had experienced. The alien consciousness was communicating with all of them. Morgan activated his communicator. Eric, he called to the medical officer, check the stasis pods. Are the colonists showing unusual brain activity? A moment passed before Eric responded. Yes, all of them. Their patterns are synchronized. How did you know? The bridge communications officer interrupted. Commander, we're receiving transmission requests from the stasis bay. The emergency protocols have been activated in 50 stasis pods. The colonists are waking themselves up. This was unprecedented. The stasis pods had emergency awakening protocols, but they were designed to be activated only by the medical staff, never by the occupants themselves. Minutes later, the first of the awakened colonists arrived in the garden, led by a woman Layla recognized as Dr. Samantha Green, a physicist. Samantha looked at the crystal formation. With recognition, not surprise. We all saw it in our dreams, she said simply. We all know what it means. They need our help, and we need theirs. More colonists arrived, each describing the same dream, the same message. The hunters were coming, not just for the alien consciousness, but eventually for humanity as well. The crystal technology could hide them, protect them, and teach them, but they had to choose to accept it. The ship's sensors suddenly blared a warning. The Ascension had launched shuttlecraft. Armed and on approach, the boarding party was coming early. We need to decide now, Morgan said, looking at the gathered colonists and crew. The aliens' technology might protect us from the Ascension's sensors, but we have no guarantee. And if we use it, we're committing an act that the military will consider treason. Dr. Green stepped forward. We already decided, Commander. That's why we woke up. 200 minds connected in stasis, all reaching the same conclusion. We protect the consciousness, we learn from it. It's what the Pioneer mission was always about, finding new life, new knowledge. Morgan looked around at the determined faces of his crew and colonists. Then he nodded, turning to the crystal formation. We accept your help. He said clearly, we choose understanding over fear. The crystal flashed brilliantly in response, tendrils of light extending outward, connecting with the ship's systems. The lights throughout the vessel dimmed momentarily, then returned to normal. The voice spoke again. Our vessel is now shielded. The hunters on the approaching ship cannot detect the awakened one or this vessel. If you follow the designated course. A new star map appeared on the garden wall, showing a slight course adjustment that would take them through what appeared to be a dust cloud. The messenger streaked through space, its crystalline engines propelling the small vessel at speeds that defied conventional human physics. Layla had never experienced such acceleration, yet the advanced inertial dampeners provided by the cedar technology kept the crew comfortable, almost unnaturally so. The ship itself seemed alive, responding to their thoughts as much as their manual controls. 3 days into their journey, they approached the coordinates of the first colony ship, the new Horizon. According to the Seeders' data, the New Horizon carried dormant seed consciousnesses like the Pioneer had, but these remained inactive. The crystal console pulsed with increasing frequency as they drew nearer. Detecting seed signatures, the interface announced, "The consciousness aboard the human vessel remains dormant, but there is danger. The human ship is being followed." Olivia brought up the sensor display enhanced by the crystal technology, revealing not only the massive colony ship ahead, but a smaller vessel trailing it at a distance. The pursuing ship matched no known human design. Its hull appeared black, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Hunter vessel. The crystal entity identified. Its form adapted to appear mechanical, but it is not. Layla felt a chill run down her spine. They were looking at one of the mysterious hunters, the ancient enemies the Seeders had warned about. Carlos studied the readings with concern. "That ship is gaining on the colony vessel," he said. "They have maybe 2 days before it catches them. We need to warn them," Ryan added, accessing the communication systems. Layla nodded. "New Horizon, this is the scout vessel. Messenger," she transmitted. "Priority communication for your command." Staff minutes passed. With no response, the New Horizon was still too far for instant communication. Finally, the response came. A stern-faced woman appeared on screen. "Captain Eleanor Ward of the New Horizon, unidentified vessel." She said, her expression suspicious. "State your purpose and origin." "Our sensors show technology inconsistent with Earth design." Layla explained quickly that they came from the Celestial Pioneer, that they had made contact with a benevolent alien species, and that the New Horizon was being pursued by a dangerous entity. She watched as the captain's expression shifted from skepticism to alarm. "This is highly irregular." Captain Ward replied, "We have no record of any scout ships being deployed from other colony vessels." She hesitated, and "Your claims about alien contact protocol requires me to treat this as a potential security threat." "Grace." The security officer stepped forward. "Captain Ward, with respect, you're in immediate danger," she said firmly. "The entity pursuing your ship will catch you within 48 hours. We have first-hand experience with their technology and can help, but only if you trust us." The captain frowned. "I cannot simply welcome an unknown vessel claiming alien alliance without verification." However, she conceded she would consult with her senior staff and respond within the hour. While they waited, Layla studied the sensor data on the hunter vessel. The crystalline interface provided detailed analysis of the strange ship hunter vessel composed of absorbed consciousness, the entity explained. "The ship itself is part of the hunter. Its form is temporary, adapted to pursue seed carriers. The hunters consume awareness, use the knowledge to find more. When it catches the colony ship, it will absorb all consciousness aboard, then grow stronger." "Expand, how do we stop it?" Layla asked. "The Seeders aboard the colony vessel must be awakened," the entity replied. "Together with this vessel, the combined consciousness can create barrier. The hunters cannot penetrate United Seeder defense." When Captain Ward finally responded, her demeanor had changed. Several members of her senior staff stood behind her, including a young man whose intense gaze fixed directly on the camera. "Our chief science officer, Dr. Alan Parker, has convinced me to hear you out," she said. "We have detected unusual energy readings from the trailing vessel, but our sensors can't identify it. Dr. Parker reports he has been experiencing unusual dreams involving crystalline structures since we left Earth, dreams like the ones experienced by the Pioneer crew. The seeds aboard the New Horizon were trying to communicate, attempting to warn the humans through their dreams. We need to dock with your ship immediately." Layla explained, "The alien entity pursuing you is called a hunter. It consumes consciousness. It's drawn to the dormant alien seeds aboard your vessel, seeds you may not even know you were carrying." Captain Ward looked troubled. "We detected unusual mineral formations in our agricultural bay 3 weeks ago," she admitted. "Our science team has been studying them. Dr. Parker insisted they were attempting communication, but we had no proof. Now you do." Grace said, We have the technology to awaken the seeds safely and create a defense against the hunter. But we need to act quickly. After a tense discussion, Captain Ward finally agreed to allow the messenger to dock. The massive colony ship grew larger in their view screen as they approached its docking bay, which was designed for supply shuttles and exploration vehicles. Once aboard the New Horizon, Layla and her team were escorted under guard to the agricultural bay, where familiar blue crystals had begun forming in the soil of the hydroponic gardens. Dr. Parker rushed forward. As they entered, his eyes wide with recognition. "I knew it," he exclaimed, looking at the portable crystal console they had brought from the messenger. "I saw this in my dreams. The patterns, the structures." Layla wasted no time explaining the situation to the gathered science team and security personnel. She described the Cedars, the hunters, and the alliance that had formed aboard the Pioneer. While some looked skeptical, others, particularly those who had experienced the dreams, nodded in understanding. "Need to fully awaken the Cedar consciousness," Dr. Parker said, turning to Captain Ward. "We've been monitoring these formations for weeks. The energy readings match exactly what they're describing." Captain Ward still hesitated. The military warned all colony ships about potential alien contamination before launch, she admitted. "We were instructed to contain and report any unusual phenomena." The ship suddenly shuddered around them. "Proximity alert," blared the ships. "AI unknown vessel approaching at high-speed collision course." The hunter had accelerated dramatically, closing the gap faster than predicted. They were out of time. Captain Ward made her decision. "Activate whatever defenses you have." She ordered, her skepticism replaced by urgent necessity. Layla placed their crystal console near the forming crystals in the garden. The two began to pulse in synchronization, growing brighter. "Seed awakening," the entity announced. The connection forms. The crystals in the garden soil expanded, rapidly forming complex structures similar to those aboard the Pioneer. The ship shuddered again as the hunter vessel fired some kind of energy weapon at their shields. Failing at current rate of decay breach, in 6 minutes the ship's AI reported. The crystals merged, forming a control interface just as they had aboard the Pioneer. Dr. Parker stepped forward, placing his hands on the interface without hesitation, as if he had done it 1,000 times before he activated the defense protocols. The Cedar's consciousness, fully awakened, flowing through the ship systems, enhancing them, strengthening them. A blue energy field extended outward from the New Horizon, surrounding the vessel in a protective bubble. The hunter's weapons still struck, but now dissipated harmlessly. Against the barrier hunter vessel attempting to breach defense, the awakened seed entity reported. "Its attacks grow stronger. Cannot maintain defense indefinitely. We need to do more than defend." Layla realized. "We need to drive it away or destroy it." The combined consciousness of both seed entities merged, creating a more powerful connection. The messenger's engines activated, remotely drawn into the defense network. Energy built up within the crystalline systems, creating a feedback loop. Captain Ward watched in amazement as her ship's weapon systems came online, automatically targeting the hunter vessel with pinpoint accuracy. The enhanced weapons fired streams of blue energy, unlike anything in the human arsenal. The hunter vessel attempted evasive maneuvers, but the seeds predicted its movements perfectly. The energy beams struck the black ship, creating rippling distortions across its surface. It shuddered, seeming to fold in on itself before accelerating away from the colony. "Ship hunter retreating," the seed entity announced, seeking easier prey. The defense holds Layla and her team spent the next day explaining everything they had learned to the New Horizons leadership. Captain Ward, though initially skeptical, had become a believer after witnessing the hunter attack and the Cedar's defense. "We need to find the other colony ships," Dr. Parker argued. "They all need to be warned," Layla nodded. "The data from our entity indicates at least 3 more colony ships carrying dormant seeds, and we have reason to believe Earth itself is in danger. The military has discovered seeds there but doesn't understand what they are. They may be inadvertently awakening hunters, Captain." Ward considered this. "The New Horizons' mission to establish a colony remains our primary objective," she said. But she turned to Dr. Parker. "I believe we can spare resources to enhance your scout ship. The Cedar's technology has already proven its worth." With the New Horizons engineering team assisting, the messenger was upgraded with additional power systems and weapons. The awakened seed consciousness aboard the colony ship provided further enhancements to their navigation systems, allowing them to plot more efficient courses to the remaining colony ships.